Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Conquerors. This week we're all on about EQ. EQ, or equalization, is one of my top 3 tools when producing a track or mixing audio. Alongside compression and reverb, I think EQ is one of the most essential tools in a producer or sound designer's arsenal. But what is EQ and why do we use it? Find out in this week's history lesson. Check it out.
Equalization's main purpose, or EQ for you cool kids out there, is to edit and manipulate audio waves and the frequency spectrum within that waveform. This is typically 20 Hz to 20 kHz in the human frequency spectrum. However, this does vary, and when we begin to exceed these boundaries between 20 Hz and 20 kHz, sounds become softer and lower in amplitude. This is why the Romans many years ago built amphitheaters in such a way that they channeled the audio waves into the crowd and stopped softer amplitude waveforms from becoming unaudible.
As explained by Garfunkel, our audio geek, EQ's main purpose is to provide clarity and definition whilst clearing up any audio that has been recorded poorly. EQ has saved my life on numerous occasions, but it's super sensitive and can easily mess up your mix, much like someone saying your work isn't commercially viable. Inside joke, don't worry. So why use EQ? Why not just record everything perfect first time round? Well, sometimes you get poorly recorded audio, or you're trying to add clarity and definition to a mix. This falls under the subtractive EQ category, which includes notching of frequencies to try and make a mix clearer, and also high pass and low pass filtering. So basically, high pass filtering is taking away your bottom end. This usually occurs from 40 Hz onwards to stop any low rumble build up. Low pass filtering is cutting away sibilance and really harsh frequencies around 20 kHz to 22 kHz. A lot of producers use these techniques to give their mixes more space and additionally open things up. There's also the additive EQ technique, which, yep, you've guessed it, adds certain frequencies to a mix. However, remember, it doesn't actually add frequencies that aren't there. This is not a white noise filter, and EQ can't replace or add frequencies that weren't present when recorded, okay? Just to remember that. So let's move over to the frequency charts now of some really popular instruments, including guitar, drums, bass, woodwinds, horns, and as well as piano. Okay, check this out. As you all probably know, EQs are found in loads of different devices nowadays. That includes car stereo systems, your iTunes account, and even your phone.
Hell no!
What are the different types of EQ, and how do we use them? The two main types are parametric and graphic equalizers. The difference between these two are now follows, okay? A parametric EQ has knobs to really go in depth with your cutting and your boosting of frequencies. This allows a full frequency spectrum run and doesn't have any limitations. Graphic EQs, however, have sliders and already pre-chosen frequencies, so you can't really do a lot in terms of manipulation. You can only go with what you're being given. There are three main controls when looking at a parametric EQ. The first of which is frequency. This lets you decide which frequency you want to cut or boost, and this runs along a large frequency chart, quite similar to the one we've seen earlier regarding the instruments. The second of control what you'll deal with mostly is width or Q. This allows you to determine how wide a cut or how wide a boost you want to put in, and this lets you dial in all across the frequency chart also. The last control is to do with gain. This allows you to dial in how much you want to boost or how much you want to cut in coordinates with the width or Q, and then additionally the frequency. You can move these all around at once, especially in DAWs such as Pro Tools and Logic, where you can really go in depth with EQing. So as you can see, EQ is a very important tool when mixing audio. Here are my top 3 tips when using EQ. Number 1, use it in small doses. As I mentioned earlier, EQ is super sensitive and can really mess up a mix quite quickly if you go in too deep and too hard. No pun intended. So it's better to use smaller cuts and smaller band frequencies to chip away at a piece of audio rather than go in taking a lot of out, which sometimes you might not notice when you're doing it. Number 2, frequency finder. I use this on every single mix I've ever done, and basically this encourages the sweeping of the frequency spectrum using a notch to take out frequencies or to even find overtones and harmonics. This is very useful when trying to take out problematic frequencies and trying to boost subtle overtones. And number 3, try another Q or width. Sometimes you could be going in too narrow and taking out smaller problems and avoiding the actual bigger issue. This is a problem which I found myself when trying to take out the muddiness from a guitar. You start going in to the higher end and to the mids, trying to take out frequencies that really aren't the big issue when what you're trying to do is take out more bottom end. That's all for now, guys. I hope this video has been helpful, and if you do need any help with EQ or any more information, my email is in the description as always. Give me a thumbs up and have a great day. Stay tasty.